Hi. Hi. This is a bit of a strange time of day to go live, but when you've been waiting, like I have, for the opportunity to speak, part of that is not having the control over when it's time. So there's been a lot percolating, as you may have seen like over a few days ago, that once wanted to sort of come up, and I still never know exactly how it's going to come out when I go live. I don't know who's going to be here. I don't know who's going to listen. But there is always the intention for the message itself to be met with a sense of openness. A lot of the way that I talk and transmit comes from like somewhere like deeper down, and I hope it touches that place in the people who receive that. So again, not my responsibility, but it is an intention that I have. Just staring out the window, so sorry if it seems a bit vacant, but this word that keeps swirling around for me is integration. And it's been that way, or been there for a while, and integration is also for me associated with the word patience. So not only have I been patient in like a day-to-day way of like something as simple as this, as waiting for the pulse to go live, but also like the patience that's required when we move through big life changes. And I can only speak to my own journey of that. Hey, Selena. I can only speak to my own journey of that because that's where the experience is, direct experience is. And I know that having been working with the feminine for a while, having been focusing on a lot of death and decay and like winter earth energy, I'm really in that moving through and into like a new form, a new expression that really is centered around integration. And I know I'm not the only one. Hi there, if you're joining live, just say hello in the comments. It's always nice to feel you in here if you're staying for the chat. Same as if you're here in the replay, it's always nice to know who's there. And I know I'm not alone in this integration phase. So many of the women that I've worked with in the last 2 years, and in the year before, the time I took away to like really be in my own process, is that has been huge life changes. Many of the women I've worked with have been birthing actual children. I mean, what? Like, that's fucking phenomenal. It's like huge. Changes of career, location, changes in relationships and in physical health, and all of the above. And what I'm really starting to notice as I move through my integration, like, oh, I feel you. Yeah, I know you do, sweetheart. I know you do. What I'm really noticing in my own process is that there has to be some sense of what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, needing to go through it alone. Like, there is a period where you have to break off and just be in that. But what I'm also like recognizing is that there needs to be support for integration to happen as well. So yes, there's a breaking off, like you like segment yourself away from the whole, because like only you can like be with those parts of yourself, and like the mess is, because there's like it's like almost like non-verbal. Like, how can you express what's going on inside of you like with words? And this makes me feel really emotional, because so much of what I experienced in the last year is like I felt so alone, because I couldn't describe adequately like the profound nature of what was happening to me. And I still struggle with that sometimes, like to try and explain like the dark night of the soul. Even that doesn't sound right. Like, just the way in which I move through these experiences. It's like really hard to articulate. And so there has to be this natural, like, I'm going over here, I'm doing this thing. There's a lot of patterns and processes that I could like go into talking about that experience, but like what I'm noticing now is that what I'm craving and what I see is missing are integration spaces. And this has been something that I've always like woven through my work anyway, and I can speak to it through like that experience. Yeah, I'm just reading the comments. Yes, there's no words, just feeling. And it's like, it's so intense and highly individual and intimate. But like what I'm like sensing is that the integration part of every experience I've created for my clients to journey with has been really powerful. And there's also this real pull to bring an emphasis to integration as a whole with the work that I'm here to do. So it's interesting, this weekend I taught my first monthly embodiment class, which, you know, like there was a lot for me to unpack in that and understand for myself and for the women who signed up. But really there were a couple of like strong themes that came through, and the word that kept coming up was integration. Like this feeling of like, I need a space to come and like bring all of the things that I've been doing on my own, all of the things that I've been sitting with on my own, into a space where they can all exist together, where I can be witnessed and held. Because like to be able to go through something like that means that there is a level of sovereignty there. Like, you've been through an initiation, you've gone through that portal, And the way I'm sort of like describing it is like there are just these big pieces of you that can no longer fit together in the way that they once did, because there's more of you. Like I was having lunch with my mum the other week, and just like on Friday actually, and I was like sitting there trying to describe to her, like, I feel like a giant. I'm actually tall anyway, but I feel like a giant that's trying to be jammed into a shoebox now, and like I don't have the adequate space for me to like be that big and to then create a world that allows me to fit into that. And so for me, like, integration is this huge energetic theme that I think has always been a part of me as a person, and is connected to my value of integrity, of like moving with all parts of me, and like really recognizing that that's a slow, deep process as well. But as I've been looking the last 3 months actively of like emerging in an online space, re-emerging with experiences that I want to create for people in service to like your fullest expression, what I'm really seeing is this desire for integration, for inner union. And I think this theme is really showing itself to me in the ways that a lot of my work and my own experience in the last few years has been about tending to the places inside of me that have needed that love, and like using the archetypal framework, which will always be there, but how bringing structure, how bringing the masculine, how bringing the mind and like the pattern work into the experience to create this feeling of integration as we move forward into this new expression. Like there was so much death and decay and rebirth, but then how the fuck do we actually bring that fully through? And I know my recent live streams have been really speaking about this energy of like internal energy of spring and emergence, and like coming through and out of those experiences. And the more that I sit with it, like spring to me has an energy of integration to it, like a preparatory energy of integration, of like, I just have the visual of the winter being the womb and like creating the fertile environment, and then the seed of the sperm and the egg together, and the integration, like that first moment where the cells unite and start to create something new and start to multiply and divide and grow. So really it's like another layer into the experience of, yes, there's like a new formation, and integration doesn't mean it's like locked in and rigid and firm and solidified and certain, but there's definitely this experience of like, I am aware there are multiple pieces, multiple aspects of self that are coming together now to form a new thing that wants to be expressed through me, as my gifts, as my life, as the many roles that I play, and that there's this inherent essence or integrity that moves through that is my essence, that moves through me in all of these ways in this new form. And maybe a month or so ago, I remember talking about how my signature offer was coming back, And there were people excited about that, and I was excited about that, but then I had to wait because I knew there was something that wasn't fully cooked, and it's not still fully cooked yet, but I'm really like, holy fuck, this is like a whole level, like another level up, or even deeper, I would say. Perhaps deeper into the expression of what that is. And so that's starting to come through, and I know integration is a key part of that. And like there's like another layer that's going to emerge through, and I think it's going to be in service to that energy. So like even just saying it out loud feels really huge. I'm on the phone. I don't know if you heard that or not. Yeah. And I think that's something that I'm also shifting in, is this identity. I really used to call myself a teacher. But the more that I think about that term, it's more the transference of information. And that whilst that might be a part of what I am, what I'm starting to also own is the title of mentor. Now, people often interchange that term with coach, and the two are distinctly different, because for me, a coach is something that has a linear energetic to it, and there's like a transference of information, and like these are the results that I can help deliver. These are the steps in which we take to get there. Whereas for me, the mentorship has a more nuanced and complex, and really celebrates the totality of the human experience, and there's like an embodied quality to that. And mentorship is something that I'm currently also experiencing. It requires the individual to like be responsible for their journey, and like it is connected to a journey for me, and I'm really understanding now how these two things of like the theme of integration that I've been briefly speaking about on this live, but also the way in which we meet that is through mentorship. Like how you see somebody else navigate their life and the qualities that they have, you're like, holy fuck, like that's the kind of way I want to be and feel for myself. Not necessarily doing it exactly the same way as them, but having something activated inside of you that allows you to know, hey, it's okay for me to do it my way. And I think that's really important to notice too, because when you're working or feel drawn to working within the realm of the feminine, there is no one way. There is no set steps to take, because let's consider a whole group of people. You might be exploring a particular step or energetic theme, but then how you proceed with that information is very different to the woman next to you and the next to you and the next to you. And I think that's really important to acknowledge too, because if we don't do that, then all of these patterns of primarily like comparisons, self-doubt, really judgment, a lot of criticism, is very much present in the journey. And they're not necessarily things that go away very easily, but I think when we shift the hat from like, I'm coming into an experience to get information, to be taught, to be coached from A to B to C to D, and so on, this linear notion really detracts from the unique path that everyone has and what it means to be seen and supported and held, as you guide yourself through that journey. And I think that's where mentorship comes in, and it kind of feels a little exciting to be on the precipice of like sharing this new body of work, but through the lens of mentorship versus coaching and teaching, because it means that there's a different caliber of woman that is ready to come into that experience and claim that for themselves. It's like a different level of responsibility. And whilst there's like approval for like all parts of the human experience, there's definitely something that's now no longer negotiable for me. And it's like working with and surrounding myself with people who are willing to be responsible, which doesn't mean you do it perfectly, which doesn't mean you don't fall down and then have to fucking haul your ass back up. Because that will still happen, but there's a different level there, and I think that's also where my value of integrity comes in. It's like approval for like all the parts, for the rhythms and the cycles that we experience, and continuing and moving from there. And that's something that my experience of chronic pain is like really fucking drilled in home for me, is like that I get to choose how I meet the days that are just fucking painful, how I meet them at the level of my body and my mind and my spirit, and like what is actually true. Because until like you've been through a deep initiation, and that can take on many forms, like I'm not here to say how that should look for someone, but until you've like been through that and had to face every single part of yourself. And I think that's really what it means to love yourself, to like look at all the parts of you. Maybe they're on the floor, or it's like spread out everywhere, or maybe they're like right up in your face. But until like you can look at all of those things, like that's to me what it means to not only be responsible, but like actually what the practice of self-love is. Like, it's not pretty. It's not salt baths and facial scrubs and all that fucking bullshit. It's like gritty. And you're the only person that can do it. And these experiences, at least for me, with pain, because like, you know, I recently had another pain flare. and they come out of the blue. Like, it's like, okay, so like, where do I need to look? What do I need to hold? Where do I need to be so that I can continue moving? Because that's also like this false sense of what it means to like integrate. Like, integration is a process of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, sidestep, pause, sit down, wait, then move. Like, it's not something that happens in like one smooth step, integrated, done. Sometimes it feels like that, but like there's so much practice involved, so much repetition involved to like really solidify something, absorb and embody something. Because I think that's also what integration has, this energetic of like, I embody this quality. And if you're just joining now, like, you might want to check the replay of this when it's posted, because I spoke about integration a little bit more. And there's like, again, like there's so many ways we can talk about it, but when a piece lands in someone, you feel it. You can't fake it, you know? And again, it's not about perfection. Like, as human beings, we ebb, we flow, we have highs, we have lows in our moods. Like, things hit us and touch us and change us. And you know, how we meet each of those opportunities, how we open to them, which is like a lot of what I'm teaching in my embodiment classes, which, side note, are just, you know, they're going to be monthly, but they are going to be longer and a bit more spacious, because how else can we go deep with more time? So that's coming in May, a little edit, or evolution, I should say. Yeah, and like, embodiment doesn't mean something is fixed. Is like very much a responsive dynamic to it. Which is inherently like a feminine energetic. Inherently. You know, recently there's been a few moments where I've, not only with the physical pain aspect, but like in relationships where I've just really like been brought to edges. And you know, there's been definite moments of like, I have a choice here to react or respond. And there's, you know, getting caught in the reaction sometimes is a very, very powerful thing. If you know, you have a practice of expanding in some way, shape or form your awareness of that. And I am very grateful for the systems that I have, because they catch me in those moments. But knowing how to respond and like choose the response that is most honest and like truthful for myself has been something that I'm grateful for. But also, like, on the flip side that comes with it is like this needing to hold whatever the other person's reaction or response is going to be, and just being able to hold in what's true for me, with the knowing that time will reveal everything. And so when I think about circling back to this energetic of integration, of like inner union, and like I always come back to like the word matrimony, like in the truest sense of like marrying these parts of myself, of the individual, like together in the sacrament, something that's like divine grace of like unifying all of these parts with a commitment to truth. I recognize like how much time and support that is required to hold those parts, to hold them. And going live today just felt like a significant flag in the sand, almost a declaration of this is the way the energy is like pulling me towards what's coming through me. And it's, again, if you watch some of my live streams, there's several of them now, they're on YouTube, they're on here. Over time you can see how this energy is like coming through me and like touching different areas of my life through my embodied experience. And I'm starting to see how in a collective way, or in like a tribal or community way, that there's an opportunity or an invitation for me to create spaces that are about that are about integration. And I'm not sure when it will be time, but again, to use that word I did at the beginning, there's this percolation happening in me of like, I can feel this body of work coming through, and it's not going to just be a 12-week thing. It's not going to be a 3-month thing. It's going to be like substantially 6 months or more of slow work, because to unravel yourself to certain depths, to certain degrees of experience, like that takes time. So why the hell would we think we can just whip it back together and just continue forward? Like, why the fucking hell do we think that? Oh yeah, the condition of the program, of our culture. It's like, bounce back. It's like, I'm just not for it. And so if you're trying, or not even trying, if you know in your bones, if you desire and like want to create something new, like that hasn't been seen, or you don't have role models for in your life, like it's a hard thing to hold alone. So having a mentor, having experiences and like held containers where you can build that and have the experience of integration for yourself is huge. And you might be at a different point in your journey, that's fine, and there's definitely other ways of working with me, but there's this big theme that is wanting to come through around integration and the time that takes, because it does take time. It's like there's no such thing as overnight success. There isn't. Yet the program tells us and constantly shows us like that it is. So I feel like that's all that I have for now. I'll probably be speaking about it more as it unfolds, as I'm led to. But I think that there's a certain depth to me. And if you're new to me, maybe you can feel that. If you've been with me for a while, I think you know that. But it's just like bringing that forward and ways of working together like that forward more now, and that feels really, really exciting to me. So thank you for being here on this live. If you're tuning into the replay, let me know in the comment section. And just really a beautiful reminder for myself, and maybe to you, that like the process that you're going through of bringing forward these new parts of yourself into form takes time and patience and support, and that's what I'm here for. Have a good day.